I was sitting at my desk when my phone vibrated. A text from Sophia, my fiancée. 2 weeks until our wedding. Everything was set, venue booked, invitation sent, honeymoon planned. I opened the message expecting something about flowers or seating arrangements. "Honey, I'm pregnant." My heart stopped. Then it started racing. Pregnant. We were going to have a baby. Holy hell, I was going to be a father. A smile spread across my face before I could even process it fully. This was huge. This changed everything. This made everything even more perfect. I kept reading, thinking about the future, about nurseries and tiny clothes and thinking of putting my ex's name on the birth certificate. It's more meaningful. The smile died. I read it again. Then again. My brain refused to accept what I just saw. She wanted to name our baby after her ex-boyfriend. More meaningful. Those were her exact words. More meaningful than what? Than me. Than the actual father. Wait. The joy that had flooded through me 30 seconds ago turned into something cold and sharp. Why would she say that? Why would naming our child after another man even cross her mind? Unless, no. Stop. Think. She said she was pregnant. She didn't say the baby wasn't mine. But that comment, that insane, stupid comment about her ex's name being more meaningful. What did that mean? My mind started connecting dots I didn't want to connect. When was the last time we'd been together? 3 weeks ago, maybe 4. Had she been acting strange? Distant? I tried to remember, but everything felt fuzzy now. I stared at that message until my screen went dark. Then I turned it back on and read it again. The words hadn't changed. My hands were shaking. Not from anger yet. From something worse, uncertainty, doubt, fear. What if this baby wasn't mine? The thought hit me like a truck. I had no proof. She hadn't confessed to anything. But why else would she mention her ex's name in the same breath as announcing a pregnancy? People didn't think like that unless there was a reason. A real reason. I typed back with fingers that didn't feel like my own. What great news. Congratulations. Sarcasm felt safer than confrontation right now. I needed information before I made accusations. I needed to see reactions, gauge responses, figure out what the hell was actually happening here. Because right now, all I had was a horrible feeling and one incredibly suspicious text message. I grabbed my jacket and walked out of the office. My supervisor called after me asking where I was going. I didn't answer. I got in my car and just sat there for a minute, gripping the steering wheel. My phone buzzed. Sophia again. "I'm so happy you're excited. We should celebrate tonight." Excited? Sure. I felt a lot of things right now. Excited wasn't one of them. I needed to talk to someone who might give me answers before I confronted her directly. Someone who'd react honestly if there was something to hide. I started the car and pulled up my maps. I knew where Nathan lived, Sophia's ex-boyfriend. She'd pointed out his neighborhood once during a drive maybe 6 months ago. Mentioned he'd gotten married, settled down, bought a house. At the time, it seemed like innocent small talk. Now it felt like reconnaissance. The drive took 40 minutes. 40 minutes of my brain cycling through every possible explanation. Maybe she was joking. Terrible joke, but possible. Maybe she meant it differently. Maybe I was overreacting. But that phrase kept playing on repeat. More meaningful. More meaningful than the actual father's name. How did that make sense? Unless the actual father was someone else. I pulled up to a 2-story house with beige siding and a neat front lawn. A blue sedan sat in the driveway next to a silver SUV. Married couple cars. I parked across the street and stared at the house for a minute. What was I doing? Was I about to accuse a man I'd never met of sleeping with my fiancée based on one weird text message? Yes. Because that text message was too specific to be random, too strange to be innocent. And if I was wrong, I'd apologize and leave. But if I was right, I needed to see his face when I brought it up. I needed to watch him squirm. Maybe he'd confess. Maybe he'd panic. Either way, I'd know more than I did now. I walked up to the front door and knocked. 3 solid knocks. My heart was pounding, but my face was calm. A woman opened the door. Blonde, athletic, mid-30s. Nathan's wife, probably. "Can I help you?" she asked, looking confused. "Hi, sorry to bother you. Is Nathan home?" "He's at work." "Can I ask who you are?" I pulled out my phone and showed her the text from Sophia. Watched her eyes scan the words. Watched her face change from confused to shocked to something I couldn't quite identify. "I'm Sophia's fiancée," I said quietly. "She just sent me this. I don't know what it means. I'm hoping your husband might have some insight." Her hand went to her mouth. "What? Why would she say that?" "That's what I'm trying to figure out." She stepped back from the door, pulling her phone from her pocket. "I need to call him. This is insane." "I agree," I said. "Mind if I wait?" She nodded, distracted, already dialing. I could hear her voice shaking as she told Nathan to come home immediately. She didn't explain why, just kept saying it was urgent. She hung up and looked at me. "He'll be here in 20 minutes. He works nearby." "Thank you." We stood there in awkward silence. She kept glancing at my phone screen like she needed to read that message again to confirm it was genuine. I kept my face neutral. Inside, my mind was screaming. Outside, I looked like someone patiently waiting for answers. A truck drove by slowly. The driver obviously curious about the stranger on his neighbor's porch. I ignored him. My phone buzzed. Sophia calling. I declined it. She could wait. I needed this conversation first. 18 minutes later, the silver SUV came speeding down the street and jerked into the driveway. Nathan jumped out, tall and fit, wearing business casual. He saw me standing there with his wife and his face went pale. "What's going on?" he demanded, looking between us. I held up my phone. "Sophia sent me this today. Thought you might want to see it." He took the phone, read the message, and his expression went from confused to horrified in seconds. "What the hell? I haven't talked to Sophia in years." "Then why would she mention your name?" his wife asked, voice sharp. "I don't know." He looked panicked now, which was interesting. Innocent people got confused. Guilty people panicked. This doesn't make any sense. I took my phone back. "She's pregnant. Says she wants to put your name on the birth certificate because it's more meaningful. You telling me that means nothing to you?" "Absolutely nothing." His voice went up an octave. "I'm married. I haven't been anywhere near her." His wife's eyes were filling with tears. "Then why would she say this?" "I don't know. Maybe she's lying. Maybe she's trying to start something. I don't know." I watched him carefully. He was defensive, sure, but was it genuine defensiveness or covering guilt? Hard to tell. Either way, I'd accomplished what I came here for. I'd planted doubt. I'd created chaos. Now I had more ammunition when I finally confronted Sophia. "All right," I said calmly. "Guess I'll go talk to her then. See what she has to say about all this." Nathan grabbed my arm. "Wait, what are you going to tell her?" "The truth. That I came here. That you denied everything. That I want answers." He let go, running his hand through his hair. "This is crazy. I didn't do anything." "We'll see," I said, and walked back to my car. Behind me, I could hear them starting to argue, his wife's voice rising, his denials getting louder. I got in my car and sat there for a moment. My phone was blowing up with texts from Sophia now. "Where are you? Why aren't you answering? Call me, please." I didn't respond. Not yet. I started the engine and headed toward her apartment. Time to hear her explanation. Time to watch her face when I told her where I'd just been. Time to find out if my worst suspicion was right or if I was about to feel like the biggest idiot alive. Either way, this conversation was going to change everything. I drove straight to Sophia's apartment. My mind was racing through every possible scenario. Maybe she had a reasonable explanation. Maybe I was overreacting. But that sinking feeling in my gut told me otherwise. People didn't mention their ex's name when announcing a pregnancy unless something was very, very wrong. I parked outside her building and sat there for a moment. My phone kept buzzing. More texts from her. I ignored them all. I needed to see her face when I asked about this. Texts could be edited, rehearsed, calculated. But reactions, those were harder to fake. I walked up to her apartment and knocked. The door flew open immediately. She'd been waiting right there. "Oh, thank God," she said, eyes red and puffy. "I've been calling you for an hour. Where have you been?" I walked past her into the apartment without answering. Sat down on her couch, looked at her standing there in the doorway, wringing her hands. "So," I said, voice calm. "Tell me about the text." She closed the door and came to sit across from me. I know it sounded strange. I wasn't thinking clearly when I wrote it. "Wasn't thinking clearly," I repeated. "You wrote 2 sentences. You used punctuation. You said putting your ex's name on our baby's birth certificate would be more meaningful. That takes some thought, Sophia." I was just so overwhelmed with emotion. Her voice went up, desperate. "Finding out I'm pregnant, it brought up all these feelings about my past, about people who've been important in my life. Important enough to name our child after." She faltered. "No, that's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean?" "Use small words so I can understand." "I just thought maybe as a middle name or something, to honor the good relationships I've had before you. Nathan was a big part of my life at one point." "Stop." I held up my hand. "You want to give our baby your ex-boyfriend's name as a middle name to honor him while you're marrying me. When you say it like that, it sounds bad. Because it is bad, Sophia. It's insane." I leaned forward. "Why would that even cross your mind? Why would you text that to me right after announcing you're pregnant?" She was fidgeting now, picking at her nails, not meeting my eyes. "I told you, I wasn't thinking straight. The emotions just overwhelmed me and I typed without processing." My phone buzzed. I pulled it out. Unknown number. I opened it. "Tell your crazy fiancée to leave me alone. I'm happily married and want nothing to do with her drama. She's lying about everything." I showed her the screen. "This just came through from Nathan. I'm guessing." Her face went white. "Why is he texting you?" "I went to his house." She stood up so fast she knocked over her water glass. "You what?" "Sat down with him and his wife. Had a nice chat. Showed them your text. Wanted to see how they'd react." "You had no right." "I had every right." My voice stayed level. "You sent me a message that made me question everything. So I went looking for answers before confronting you. Seemed like the smart move." "What did he say?" "He denied everything. Said he hasn't talked to you in years. Got very defensive." His wife started crying. I watched her face carefully. But the interesting part, he didn't seem confused. He seemed panicked. "Because you ambushed him at his house with his wife there? Or because he has something to hide?" I stood up. "Here's what I can't figure out. If this baby is mine, if there's nothing going on, why would you mention him at all? Why would his name even enter your mind when you found out you're pregnant?" She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. "I don't know. It was stupid. I made a mistake." A mistake is a typo. A mistake is sending the message to the wrong person. But you specifically, intentionally mentioned putting another man's name on our baby's birth certificate and called it meaningful. That's not a mistake, Sophia. That's a choice. You're twisting everything I said. Am I? Then untwist it for me. Make it make sense." She started crying harder. "Why are you being so cruel about this? I'm pregnant with your baby and you're treating me like a criminal. Is it my baby?" The question hung in the air between us. She froze. "What?" "Simple question. Is the baby mine?" "Of course it is. How can you even ask that?" Because of what you wrote. Because of how you're acting right now. Because nothing about this makes sense. Unless there's something you're not telling me. I've told you everything. She was shouting now. I made a stupid comment that I regret and you've blown it completely out of proportion. My phone buzzed again. Another text from the unknown number. Your girl's been texting me all afternoon, begging me not to tell you anything. But there's nothing to tell because nothing happened. Keep your woman under control. I showed her that one, too. He says you've been texting him, begging him not to tell me something. Why don't you want him to tell me, Sophia? I texted him once after you left his house to tell him I'm sorry you dragged him into this. That's not what this says. She grabbed for my phone. I pulled it back. Don't. You're ruining everything. Tears were streaming down her face now. We're supposed to be getting married in 2 weeks. We're supposed to be happy about this baby and instead you're accusing me of things I didn't do. Then take a paternity test. She went completely still. What? Blood test. Medical facility. Prove the baby's mine. If it is, we move forward. If it's not. I didn't finish the sentence. That's insane. Is it? You wrote something that made me question everything. You're nervous as hell right now. Nathan's acting guilty. So prove me wrong. Take the test. I shouldn't have to prove anything to you. You're right. In a normal situation, you wouldn't. But this isn't normal. You made it abnormal when you sent that text. I headed for the door. Schedule the test. Send me the appointment details. Until then, I don't want to hear from you. Where are you going? Away from here. I opened the door. Oh, and the wedding, I canceled it this afternoon right after I got your text. Seemed premature to be planning a marriage when I don't even know if I'm actually the father of your baby. You canceled our wedding. Her voice cracked. I can uncancel it if the test proves I'm wrong. But I doubt it will. You're making a huge mistake. Maybe. But it's my mistake to make. I walked out and closed the door behind me. Could hear her sobbing through it. Didn't turn back. My phone rang immediately. Her number. I declined the call. It rang again. Declined again. Then text started flooding in. Please come back. We can work through this. I love you. Don't throw away everything we have. I got in my car and drove to my parents' house. I needed to tell them before Sophia did. Needed to control the narrative before it spiraled, because I had a horrible feeling that spiral was just getting started. When I pulled into their driveway, my phone buzzed one more time. Another message from Nathan. I'm getting a lawyer. Tell your fiancée if she keeps dragging me into her mess, there will be consequences. I have a marriage to save because of her lies. I sat there staring at that message. His marriage needed saving because of her lies. He kept saying nothing happened, but his panic suggested otherwise. Either he was guilty and covering or he was innocent and terrified of being blamed. Either way, someone was lying and I was going to find out who, even if it destroyed everything in the process. My mom opened the door before I could knock. She had that look on her face that mothers get when they know something's wrong. What happened? She asked, stepping aside to let me in. My dad was in the living room watching the news. He muted it when he saw my expression. Wedding's off, I said, sitting down heavily on the couch. For now, anyway. What do you mean, for now? Dad asked. I pulled out my phone and showed them the text from Sophia. Watched their faces go through the same journey mine had, confusion, shock, anger. She wants to name the baby after her ex-boyfriend. My mom's voice went up. What on earth would possess her to say that? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I told them everything. The visit to Nathan's house, the confrontation with Sophia, the demand for a paternity test. My dad nodded slowly. You did the right thing. Something's off here. But what if I'm wrong? I rubbed my face. What if she really did just have a moment of stupidity and I'm destroying our relationship over nothing? Then the test will prove it, Mom said firmly. And if she has nothing to hide, she shouldn't have a problem taking it. My phone buzzed. Sophia again. I'd lost count of how many times she'd called in the past hour. You need to block her, Dad said. Until this gets sorted out. Don't let her manipulate you. She's not trying to manipulate, I stopped myself. Was she? The crying, the defensive anger, the way she tried to make me feel guilty for doubting her. Maybe you're right. I didn't block her, but I did turn off notifications. My phone could buzz all night if it wanted to. I wasn't looking at it. That night, I barely slept. Kept running through scenarios in my head. Best case, the baby was mine and Sophia had just said something monumentally stupid that she'd spend years apologizing for. Worst case, she'd cheated and gotten pregnant by her ex. I couldn't even think of any middle ground scenarios. This was pretty black and white. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 32 texts from Sophia. I made myself coffee before reading any of them. Most were variations of, please talk to me, and, I can explain everything, but one stood out. Fine. I scheduled the test. Next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Harbor Medical Center. Are you happy now? Tuesday. That was 6 days away. 6 days of waiting, wondering, slowly going insane. But at least she'd agreed to do it. I texted back. I'll be there. 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, okay. Work was impossible. I told my boss I needed the week off. Family emergency. He didn't ask questions. Just told me to take care of whatever I needed to take care of. Small blessings. Wednesday afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number again. I almost didn't answer. Hello. This is Jennifer. Nathan's wife. Her voice was tight. We need to talk. I sat up straighter. Okay. Did Sophia really text you what you showed us about the baby's name? Yes. I can forward you screenshots if you don't believe me. No, I believe you. I just needed to hear you say it. She took a shaky breath. Nathan swears nothing happened, but he's been acting strange since you came to our house. Defensive. Angry. He won't let me see his phone anymore. He won't let you see his phone. I repeated. That's new. Very new. Before this week, we had an open phone policy. Now he's got it password protected and takes it everywhere. Even to the bathroom. My stomach dropped. That's not a good sign. No, it's not. Another pause. Is Sophia taking a paternity test? Tuesday. When you get the results, will you tell me? I deserve to know if my husband has been lying to me. I will, I promised. I'm sorry you're going through this. I'm sorry you are, too. She hung up. I sat there staring at my phone. Nathan's sudden phone secrecy was damning. People didn't suddenly lock down their devices unless they were hiding something. Either he was deleting messages from Sophia or he was talking to someone about the situation or he was genuinely guilty and covering his tracks. Thursday, my phone rang again. This time it was Sophia's mother. How could you cancel the wedding? She demanded before I could even say hello. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is for our family? With all due respect, your daughter's the one who made this humiliating. She made a mistake. One silly comment and you're throwing away your entire future. It wasn't silly. It was specific and concerning. You're being paranoid and cruel. That baby is yours. Sophia loves you and you're treating her like a criminal. She can prove the baby's mine on Tuesday. Until then, I'm not discussing this. I hung up before she could respond. Over the next few days, I got calls from Sophia's father, her sister, her best friend. All of them telling me I was overreacting. All of them defending her. None of them able to explain why she'd said what she said in the first place. My own friends were split. Half thought I was doing the right thing. Half thought I was paranoid. But they all agreed the text was weird. Friday night, my phone buzzed with a text from Sophia. Can we please talk face to face? I miss you. I stared at that message for a long time. Part of me wanted to see her. Wanted to believe this was all a misunderstanding. But the smarter part knew better. After the test. Not before. You really don't trust me at all, do you? Should I? No response. Saturday morning, I woke up to a voicemail from Nathan. His voice was tight, angry. I don't know what game Sophia's playing, but I'm done being dragged into it. My wife is filing for divorce because of your accusations. We've been married 6 years. 6 years and it's falling apart because your fiancée can't keep her mouth shut. If that test comes back showing I'm not the father, I'm suing both of you for defamation. I saved the voicemail. Might need it later. Sunday was the longest day of my life. Tomorrow was the test. Tomorrow I'd find out if I was about to be a father or if I'd dodged a bullet. Tomorrow everything would change one way or another. Sophia texted me one more time that night. I'm scared. I almost didn't respond, but something made me type back. Me too. What if this ruins us? It already did. The test just confirms what's true. I love you. I didn't answer that one because I honestly didn't know how I felt anymore. Love required trust, and trust was currently in very short supply. Monday night, I couldn't eat dinner. Couldn't focus on anything. My mom tried to distract me with a movie. Dad offered to go to the appointment with me for support. I declined. This was something I needed to do alone. I set 3 alarms for the next morning. Didn't need them. I was awake at 5, staring at the ceiling, counting down the hours until I'd know the truth. At 9:30, I got in my car and drove to Harbor Medical Center. My hands were steady on the wheel, but my heart was hammering in my chest. In 30 minutes, I'd walk into the building not knowing if I was a father. And in a few hours after that, I'd walk out knowing whether the woman I'd planned to marry had betrayed me in the worst possible way. Either way, nothing would ever be the same. I arrived at Harbor Medical Center 15 minutes early. Sat in my car watching the entrance. At exactly 9:55, Sophia pulled into the parking lot. She looked terrible, dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, wearing sweatpants and an oversized hoodie. She saw my car and hesitated before walking toward the building. I got out and followed her inside. We didn't speak, didn't make eye contact. Just checked in at the front desk separately and sat on opposite sides of the waiting room. The nurse called us back together, led us to a small room with 2 chairs and a counter full of medical supplies. We'll need blood samples from both of you, she explained, completely professional. Results typically take 5 to 7 business days. We'll call with the findings. Can you send them to both of us? I asked. Of course. She looked at Sophia. Is that acceptable? Sophia nodded, still not looking at me. The blood draw took 10 minutes. Sophia went first. I watched the nurse tie the rubber band around her arm. Watched the needle go in. Watched the vial fill with dark red blood. That blood would tell me everything I needed to know. My turn. I barely felt the needle. Was too focused on Sophia's expression. She looked terrified. People who had nothing to hide didn't look terrified. All set, the nurse said cheerfully. We'll be in touch soon. We walked out separately. I made it to my car before Sophia called out. Wait. Please. I stopped but didn't turn around. Can we talk? Just for 5 minutes. About what? About us. About how we fix this. I turned to face her. There's nothing to fix yet. We wait for the results. Then we'll know if there's anything left to fix. You really think I cheated on you? I think you gave me every reason to wonder. That's on you, not me. Her face crumpled. I made a stupid mistake with that text. I've told you that 100 times. Why won't you believe me? Because your story keeps changing. Because you get defensive when I ask questions. Because Nathan's hiding his phone from his wife now. I leaned against my car. If there's nothing going on, why is everyone acting so guilty? He's hiding his phone because you destroyed his marriage. His wife thinks he cheated because you planted that idea in her head. I didn't plant anything. I showed her what you wrote. She drew her own conclusions. This is insane. Sophia wrapped her arms around herself. In a week, you're going to get those results back and feel like an idiot, and I don't know if I'll be able to forgive you for putting me through this. That's fair. I don't know if I'll be able to forgive you for making it necessary. I got in my car and drove away. Left her standing there in the parking lot. The next 7 days were brutal. Sophia called constantly. Her family called constantly. My family tried to support me while secretly hoping I was wrong. I could see it in their faces. They wanted the baby to be mine. Wanted this whole nightmare to be a misunderstanding. I wanted that, too. But wanting something didn't make it true. Wednesday, Jennifer called again. I filed for divorce, she said flatly. Nathan's staying at a hotel. He's still denying everything, but I can't live with the doubt. I'm sorry. Don't be. If he's innocent, he'll prove it. If he's not. Her voice cracked. I deserve better than a liar. You do. When do you get your results? Any day now. Call me when you do. I will. Thursday afternoon, Sophia's sister showed up at my parents' house. I was in the garage working on my car when she found me. You're destroying her, she said without preamble. She hasn't eaten in 3 days. She's having panic attacks. All because you can't trust her. All because she gave me a reason not to. One text message. One stupid text message that mentioned naming our baby after her ex-boyfriend. Yeah, that's a pretty significant stupid text message. She explained that she was emotional and not thinking clearly. I put down the wrench I was holding. Let me ask you something. If your fiancé sent you a text saying he wanted to name your baby after his ex-girlfriend because it was more meaningful, would you just shrug it off? She opened her mouth, closed it. That's different. How? Because Sophia wouldn't actually do that. She loves you. Then the test will prove it and we can all move on. She left without another word. 20 minutes later, Sophia's father called. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail calling me paranoid and selfish. I deleted it without finishing. Friday, my phone rang at 2 in the afternoon. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. This is Harbor Medical Center calling for, the woman paused, checking her notes. Regarding lab results for Sophia Bennett and yourself. My heart stopped. Yes, this is him. Your results are ready. I can email them to both parties now or you can pick up physical copies at the front desk. Email them, please. They should arrive within the next few minutes. Have a good day. She hung up. I stared at my phone. This was it. In a few minutes, I'd know. I'd actually know. I sat down on the porch steps. Opened my email. Refreshed it. Nothing. Refreshed again. Nothing. Refreshed a third time. New email from Harbor Medical Center. I clicked it. The PDF loaded slowly. Too slowly. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped my phone. The document filled the screen. Medical jargon I didn't understand. Technical terms and numbers. I scrolled down looking for the only thing that mattered. Then I found it. Probability of paternity, 0%. Based on the genetic markers analyzed, the tested man is excluded as the biological father of the tested child. 0%. Excluded. Not the father. I read it 3 times to make sure I wasn't misunderstanding. But it was clear. Brutally, undeniably clear. The baby wasn't mine. I sat there on the porch steps staring at those words, feeling absolutely nothing. No anger, no sadness, no relief. Just emptiness. My phone rang. Sophia. I answered. Did you get it? Yeah. Silence. Long, heavy silence. I'm so sorry, she whispered. So it's true. You cheated. It was one time. One stupid, drunk mistake. I didn't mean for this to happen. With Nathan. Yes. When? A month ago. We ran into each other at a bar. We were both drinking. It just happened. A month ago. While we were planning our wedding. While I was calling vendors and confirming the guest list. While she was trying on dresses and showing me flower arrangements. Does he know? Not for sure. I told him it might be his. He's been panicking ever since. And you were just going to marry me and pretend the baby was mine. I thought maybe it was. I wasn't sure. But you knew it might not be. And you didn't tell me. She was crying now. I'm so sorry. I made a horrible mistake, but I love you. We can still fix this. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Fix this. Sophia, you're pregnant with another man's baby. A man you cheated on me with. What exactly is there to fix? We can get through this together. No, we can't. We're done. I stood up. You need to tell Nathan. He deserves to know he's about to be a father. What about us? There is no us. There hasn't been since the moment you slept with him. I just didn't know it yet. Please don't do this. I hung up. Blocked her number immediately. Then I forwarded the test results to Jennifer with a simple message. You were right to file for divorce. She responded within seconds. Thank you for telling me. I'm sorry you had to go through this. I called my parents. Told them everything. My mom cried. My dad just said, come home. We'll figure out the next steps. Next steps. Yeah, there were a lot of those coming. But first, I had one more thing to do. I got in my car and drove to Sophia's apartment. Didn't knock. Used my key one last time. She was sitting on the couch exactly where I expected her to be. I want every penny back, I said. Everything I spent on the wedding. The deposits, the venue, the photographer. All of it. I don't have that kind of money. Then figure it out. Sell something. Borrow from your parents. I don't care. But you're paying me back every single dollar. That's not fair. Fair. I stared at her. You cheated on me, got pregnant by your ex, tried to trick me into raising his baby, and you want to talk about fair? She had no response to that. I put my key on the counter. Goodbye, Sophia. I walked out for the last time. Got in my car and drove away from the biggest mistake I almost made. The baby wasn't mine. The wedding was cancelled. The relationship was over. And somehow, I'd never felt more relieved in my entire life. Closure. Saturday morning, I sent a group text to both families. Sophia's parents, her sister, my parents, my brother. Everyone who'd been involved in this mess. Family meeting. My parents' house. 2 p.m. today. Everyone needs to be there. Sophia's mom called immediately. What's this about? You'll find out at 2. I showed up early. Set up my laptop on the dining room table. Printed copies of the paternity test results. When people started arriving, the confusion was obvious. Sophia showed up last, looking like she hadn't slept. Her parents flanked her protectively. All right, her father said. What's this about? I handed everyone a copy of the test results. Watched their faces as they read. 0% probability of paternity, I said clearly. The baby isn't mine. Want to know whose it is? Sophia's mother went pale. This can't be right. It's right. Sophia cheated on me with her ex-boyfriend Nathan about a month ago. Got pregnant. Tried to hide it. That text about naming the baby after him, that was her guilt talking. Sophia's father turned to her. Is this true? She nodded, tears streaming down her face. You cheated. Her mother's voice broke. While planning your wedding. It was a mistake. A mistake that cost me $15,000 in wedding expenses, I interrupted, which she's going to pay back. Every penny. We don't have that kind of money, her father protested. Then sell her car. Take out a loan. I don't care. But I'm getting my money back. My mom touched my arm. Honey, maybe we should. No. She made her choice. She deals with the consequences. Sophia's sister spoke up. You're being cruel. I'm being fair. She committed fraud. She tried to trap me into raising another man's child. Cruel would be pressing charges. That shut everyone up. Does Nathan know? Sophia's father asked quietly. He does now. I forwarded him the results this morning. His wife already filed for divorce. Sophia sobbed louder. Her mother hugged her, but even she looked disgusted. I think we should go, Sophia's father said stiffly. This was humiliating enough. Good. You should feel humiliated. Your daughter destroyed 2 relationships and created a child that neither parent wanted because she couldn't keep her commitment. They left quickly. My family stayed behind. You okay? Dad asked. Better than okay. I dodged a bullet. I sat down heavily. Can you imagine if I'd married her? Found out later. Mom squeezed my shoulder. You did the right thing. All of it. My phone buzzed. Text from Jennifer. Nathan's freaking out. Lawyer says he'll have to pay child support. His whole life is falling apart. Thank you for finding out the truth. I replied. We both deserved better. Within hours, word spread through our social circle. Friends started taking sides. Most sided with me. Sophia's friends tried defending her at first, but the facts were too damning. She'd cheated. She'd lied. She'd tried to commit paternity fraud. By Monday, she'd deactivated all her social media. Couldn't handle the backlash. Tuesday, I received a check from her parents for $8,000. A note attached. It's all we can manage right now. The rest will come in payments. I deposited it. Sent them a payment plan agreement. All business, no emotion. Wednesday, I scheduled an appointment for STD testing. Last thing I needed was a parting gift from Sophia's betrayal. The test came back clean. Small mercy. A month later, I heard through mutual friends that Sophia and Nathan were trying to work something out for the baby. Neither wanted a relationship with the other, but both were stuck with an 18-year connection. His ex-wife took him for everything in the divorce. House, savings, dignity. Sophia's family stopped speaking to her for a while. Too embarrassed. Me. I started going to the gym more. Reconnected with old friends. Focused on work. Slowly rebuilt the life I'd almost destroyed by ignoring red flags. That text message saved my life. As stupid as it was for her to send it, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because now I was free. And she was stuck living with the consequences of her choices. Sometimes the trash takes itself out. You just have to be smart enough to let it go. 6 months later, I got the final payment from Sophia's parents. $15,000 total, fully reimbursed. I deposited the check and felt nothing. No satisfaction, no anger. Just closure. My life had changed completely. Promoted at work. New apartment downtown. Started dating again, casually. No rush. I'd learned my lesson about ignoring red flags. I ran into Sophia once at a grocery store. She was visibly pregnant, looking exhausted. We made eye contact. She opened her mouth like she wanted to say something. I kept walking. Nothing left to say. Heard through friends that Nathan was paying child support but refused to be involved beyond that. His ex-wife remarried someone better. Sophia's parents helped her occasionally, but the relationship was strained. She'd burned too many bridges. My family never mentioned her name anymore. That chapter was closed, locked, and buried. One night, my buddy Marcus asked me if I regretted how I'd handled everything. Not for a second, I said. That text message was the universe warning me. I could have ignored it, married her, and spent years raising another man's kid before finding out. Instead, I listened to my gut. Think you'll ever trust someone again? Yeah, but I'll verify everything now. Trust and verification aren't opposites. They're partners. 3 weeks ago, Sophia texted from a new number. I'm sorry for everything. I hope you're doing well. I blocked it without responding. Some apologies came too late to matter. Last week, I took down the last photo of us from my cloud storage. Deleted her contact information permanently. Removed every trace. People asked if I was bitter. I wasn't. I was grateful. Grateful for that stupid text message. Grateful I found out before the wedding. Grateful I had the backbone to walk away instead of believing her lies. She made her choice. I made mine. She was living with the consequences of betrayal. I was living free. Sometimes the best revenge was simply being happy while they were stuck in the mess they created. I didn't think about her anymore. Didn't wonder what could have been. Didn't miss what we had because what we had was built on lies. And I deserved better than that. Everyone did.